When you're using the Vari audio editor to apply pitch correction to a vocal or any monophonic track, the transitions in between each individual note can leave artifacts, and Cubase 7.5 has a new way to detect those transitions and make them sound much more natural. Now, there is one little caveat, and that is that if you load an older Cubase project into Cubase 7.5, in which you've already done some Vari audio editing, the older transitions will be retained, and sometimes you might hear some of those older artifacts. So it may require that you go in and re-edit that track so that you take advantage of those new transitions. So what I'm going to do is double-click on this audio event, and then I'm going to make sure I have the Vari audio editor open, and I'm going to analyze it for pitch and warp and segments simply by selecting the pitch and warp tool, and it will go through and analyze the pitches of that event. And let's just take the events inside of these measures right here between my left and right locators. Here's the vocal performance, and it's done all of the detection. There's one, this should actually be 3 different notes, but it has detected them all as one, and that happens a lot, especially with glissandos like this. So I'm going to hit the Tab key on my computer keyboard, which will allow me to get that little scissors tool and that lower line on that event and slice those events into 3 separate events. That way I can move them all individually. Then I'm going to type the Tab key again and select No Events, and now I can go through and adjust each one of those events individually. So this one actually needs to be a little bit higher. I'm going to hold the Shift key while I click and drag that up, and that will make fine adjustments. This one actually looks a little bit sharp in the very beginning, so I'm going to hold the Shift key and drag that down a little bit. And then this note looks like it's spot on, but now the transition between these notes will be a bit smoother than you've noticed in previous versions of Cubase. Let's take a listen.
In his eyes, I see all the loved ones in my life.
See how nice and smooth that is? There's less of a chance of you getting artifacts between those individual notes. Now, if for any reason you have to load a project into Cubase 7.5 and do some Vari audio editing, and then need to open that project in an earlier version of Cubase, bear in mind that those new transitions won't translate into older versions of Cubase very well. So if you're going to do a lot of Vari audio editing, it's best to just leave everything in the most current version of Cubase, which is Cubase 7.5. And next I'm going to show you the new hit point features.